Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be creating a costume based off of Emily from the Tim Burton film, Corpse Bride. I'm already having fun. So, in my 31 days of Halloween costumes, one of the very last days is Emily from Corpse Bride. Now, this is a costume that I wanted to do for a very long time, but always thought it was too complicated or I didn't really have the sewing skills necessary. Now I have a teensy bit of sewing skills. A little bit. I think enough in order to make what I want to make with this costume. Not enough to create an entire bodice that looks amazing with boning, mind you, but I had a certain eye aesthetic plan for what I wanted to do with that. So I've collected a number of pieces, and I'm also going to build a couple of different items, and then I'm basically going to paint the entire dress because it's all these kind of like different shades of gray and blue, and that's hard to find a fabric that looks old and decayed like that. But it's also going to be really fun because we can like burn holes in it and, you know, airbrush it. I'm going to try to dye it with like fabric dye. I'm not really entirely sure how this is going to entirely come together, but I feel like we can do it. So we're just going to see what happens. So first, let me show you guys all the supplies that I have in order to make this costume. Now, you can do this way cheaper than I'm doing it. I did buy a kind of expensive corset because I really wanted a long line corset. Because if you look at the structure of her dress, it kind of goes down past her hips. And normally corsets, like cheaper ones you get on Amazon and stuff, are going to stop kind of right there. So let me show you the corset that I did pick up, which was the most expensive part of this costume. So here's the corset that I got. And you can see the front here. Let's try that one more time. There we go. So it does have the sweetheart neckline on top, but then it comes down because it's a long line corset into a point at the bottom, which is what I was looking for. Because if you look at the shape of her corset, that's what it does. And then it, of course, laces up the back. Now this, I want to add the bones that are sticking out on the side. And I'm definitely going to do some coloring. I might even try to put like some lace on top of this. And then if you look at the edge of her dress, it almost kind of looks like flower petals, I would say. Like our flowers at the base and at the top that are a shade of like blue that kind of matches everything else. So I'm also going to be, I think, Mod Podging down different like petals from flowers and then spray painting them blue. That's my thought process. Again, haven't entirely thought this out, but I think that's what we're gonna do. Then for her gloves, I found these at Goodwill with all the Halloween stuff that they had up north. And these just look very much like wedding bride gloves. Of course, we're gonna rip them up a little bit, but I think that they look perfect for what she's wearing. Then I have this veil, which I'm not sure if I'm gonna use or not, but like the structure of it's good for what hers is. But I also kind of want her veil to be made of lace, so I might just take some of the lace that I bought. And these flowers obviously need to be more dead looking. So, but this could also be spray painted blue as well. So this is where I'm kind of like, I don't know, we might use this. This was purchased, it still has the tag on it, at Goodwill years ago for $4. And it still has not been used for anything. So it's got good bones. It's got good bones. It could be an option. I think it's made from like a curtain or something, the way that this fabric feels. But yeah, so this is the veil. And then I picked up 3 different fabrics. So I want to sew like a maxi skirt basically, just with like an elastic waistband. It doesn't need a zipper because it's just going to sit underneath this corset anyways. So I have this super thin like cheesecloth, which I feel like looks very spooky. So this is very cheap and that's why I picked it up. Again, it's not really like, it's too sheer to be the entirety of the skirt. You would see right through it. But it has like the right kind of color and like aesthetic. So I think that if we dip dye this with blue, it might look nice. And then I just got some like basic white lace, which I've actually used this before for different Mickey ears. But this was like the cheapest one that they had. And I do like the way that it looks. I think it looks very bridal and it's like shiny like this. So this is going to be an overlay for the skirt. And then so possibly the bottom layer of the skirt is this just like white cotton. And I bought cotton because I wanted to make sure when I'm doing the dip dye that the fabric actually takes color. So a huge thing when you're trying to use like the RIT dyes or tie-dye stuff, you want to make sure that your fabric has a little bit of cotton in it. If it's like polyester and stuff, it gets very difficult to try and dye it. Believe me you, I have had my shares of that in the past. They have a specific dye for like non-cottony, like more plasticky fabrics, actually, like random fabrics, which is really cool that they made a whole nother type of dye that you can use. But this is just gonna make my life easier, in theory. Hopefully this all works. Maybe I should have gotten stretchy material if I was gonna make a maxi skirt. But you know what? You live and you learn. Am I right? And then something that's probably the most difficult thing to figure out is her hand is a bone. She has no skin on her left hand. So my mom's actually sent me a couple of different limbs. This one I like the best, and I feel like I could put it on top of like a black glove or something, hot glue it down, and then put it on top of my hand. I feel like that would look really good, although now I'm realizing that this is a right hand. It's fine. She also sent me just like the hands. I also bought these gloves at Party City that are supposed to be like Jack Skellington, that are just like black with, that look like you have bone hands. I don't know how good those are actually gonna look, so we'll have to take a look at that. But I have a couple of different options. Again, it's like, I've thought of things, but I don't know entirely how this is gonna go. So, let's jump into this. First thing I wanna do is I want to just turn these 3 fabrics into a long flowing maxi skirt. So let's go ahead and sew that. I found a tutorial for it that made it look super, super easy. Again, very beginning level of sewing skills. I had a certain dress that I tried to make that did not quite come together in time for when I wanted to wear it. So, growing every day, you live and you learn. Let's sew this skirt. So I made 2 different measurements. So the first one was around the widest part of my waist, and that was 39 inches, and that was like right over the bottom of my hips. So because I want this to be tight, I'm only gonna add like an inch of seam allowance, but it's more like 39.5, so I'll probably do 40.5. And then the next measurement I'm gonna make after I mark this is I'm gonna figure out how long I want this to be. So normally it would just be down to where my feet are, but because I want it to be a train, because she has this train, I'm gonna extend it and then see if I can like put the seam like where the slit would be, just like right in the center of the skirt, so then it can kind of like billow out. We're gonna see if that works. So that's my current plan. Okay, so I have this piece of cotton, which is the base, and now I'm going to create the fold that the elastic is gonna sit in. So she said in order to make this fold, first you do a 1/2 inch, and then another like 2 inches. This is what the elastic is going to slide through. So then I'm going to pin it and we will sew it. Okay, now that we have that, it is time to thread the elastic through, and she said 1.5 inch elastic. I think this is what this is. I bought this for something else and didn't use it. But this looks like it should fit well. So I'm just gonna grab a safety pin and then pull it through the old-fashioned way. All right, so now we have this. We're gonna lay it on the floor and basically create the slit. So basically I turned it the wrong side out, inside out. I mean, you can't really tell because it's white on both sides. This will be the inside, and I'm gonna pin the sides together to make a seam, and then at a certain point I'm going to not pin it together and pin it just on the fold to make a nice edge, because her slit is actually pretty high in the dress, so and it just kind of like opens at the front. So I'm just gonna wear this like in the front instead of on the side. I just want this to look right. So that's pretty much where I want the slit to go. So now I'm just gonna sew this real quick and then come back and fold over the side so that it's nice and hemmed. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's not bad. I took it in a little bit too much because the first time it was too big. So now it's like kind of tight on my thighs, which is not great. It's also very see-through, but I'll just wear something else with it. But yeah, so it's like, that's not a flattering cut here. So I might try to let it out a smidge in the thighs, but honestly, it definitely looks a lot better than I imagined, and it has the train effect. So just gotta add some lace on top and maybe let this out a little bit so that I don't feel like I'm getting squeezed into a sausage casing. So I'm wearing my shorts underneath, so it looks insane, but this is much better. So it's grazing my thighs instead of choking them. So now let's do a layer of lace. I'm just gonna like basically stitch it on top of this. It's all pinned on here, even though this is in shadows, I'm sorry. So I'm just gonna sew around the waistband and then cut here. Okay, it is time for us to dye some fabric. Yes, so I'm gonna show you all the pieces of fabric that I have to dye. This is my current setup. I like to take the trash bags and cover the floor so that we are nice and safe. I have two different colors here. This is a lighter aquamarine blue. This is more of a royal blue. We'll see how that turns out. I also have an indigo blue. So I'm using RIT fabric dye, which is my go-to. So here's the royal blue. It's got a good chunk in there. And then this is the aquamarine. And then this here is the indigo. So I thought it would be pretty to kind of do a bit of an ombre from like the lighter blue to the darker blue at the tips. And obviously that wouldn't be 100% accurate to, you know, like the character. But I've seen a lot of cosplays where they bring up this more aquamarine blue into it. And I think it's really beautiful. So I kind of want to try to do that. And I have all my pieces here that I'm going to try and put in here. So I have the skirt that I finished up. But I want to put like a layer of this fabric on top of the skirt as well, because it looks more like her skirt as I'm looking more at it. And I'm also going to use this for the veil. I have my white gloves that need some paint on them, but I might do that more by hand. So I bought also little paint brushes so that I can like work on specific parts. Basically, we're going to dye all of this. And then while that's dyeing, we can work on the corset. I want to add some lace detailing to that. So let's throw these things in here. Let's not forget the gloves so that I don't dye my hands blue. I'm sure they will still somehow wind up blue, let me tell you. So I'm going to start with the aquamarine blue and the white lace skirt. I feel like I'm pretty happy with that right now. If we need to add more, we can. But let's grab the next piece of fabric here. Okay, so this is the veil. Okay, last piece here. This is gonna be on top of the skirt. All right, so since that looks good, we're just gonna leave this here for 30 minutes and then we'll come back and see how it is doing. Okay, now since we're waiting for that, let's work on the corset here. So I've been looking at pictures of it and I do think it needs some sort of a lace at the top, lace at the bottom, which comes down to our point here. So I do have this lace that's already blue. Granted, the corset lace is a darker shade, so this could be possible. I have tried to dye this before though, and it hasn't actually like picked up the dye very well. Now, another thing that I do have is this wedding dress that I got at Goodwill a while ago. I haven't really used, I've used for a couple of photos and stuff, but it was like literally like $10. And it has this really pretty sparkly lace applique that's white. So I was thinking that maybe I could seam rip it, steal the lace applique off of this, add it to the edges, and then possibly coat the corset in glitter, which sounds insane. But if you look at the corset she's wearing, on her dress, like it looks like there's a thick layer of like glitter on it. Like I might go for that, I might not. I just want to first, I think what I'm gonna do is go with the white, seam rip this, try to lay it on the top and the bottom in a way that I think is pretty, and then I can spray it with some of the fabric spray that I have, or use the paintbrushes in order to give it the same color as other parts of the dress. So let's go for it. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes, so we're gonna pull these out, do them in the sink, rinse them out, and then put them in the dark blue. Okay, we have rinsed off our fabrics. So I'll show you the current color of them. So this is the skirt here. It's a little hard to see in this lighting, but it is that more of an aquamarine blue. So now I'm gonna dip the ends of this in the dark blue here for starters. So I'm just gonna get the bottom of that. With our next piece here, I think you can see this one a little bit better, the blue. This is the veil, so again, just gonna do a little bit of dip dye here. We'll go ahead and leave this for another 30 minutes to get that color going, and then we will pull her out again, bring it outside and let it dry overnight. More colors we can add in with the paintbrush and stuff for different parts of this, but I think that's what we gotta do first. So I got all this applique off of this and onto this, and now I think I am gonna try to add the white glitter, because I really think it is gonna give it more of the effect that I'm looking for. Okay, this is probably a crazy setup. Normally I would do this outside, but it's the middle of the night and I don't feel like going outside in the dark today. So I can't find my Mod Podge, which is super annoying. I don't know where it is. So I'm gonna have to use just regular tacky glue. But basically I'm gonna cover this in glue and then glitter it and then get that off and then add the applique with hot glue instead of sewing it, because that's gonna save me time. Let's do it. And now we are fully glittered front and back. And I actually think it looks way better than I even imagined it would. So what I'm gonna do next is plug in my hot glue gun, glue on this lace, and then we're gonna dye it. And here we are. I think it looks shockingly good. I'm amazed. I'm not going to take the time to put this on the back of it right now because I am pressed for time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take the dye and just paint like the bottoms of it, kind of like hers is. I also have a spray in case that doesn't work, but the spray is a little bit messy, so that makes me kind of nervous. So now I'm just going to take my little sponge brush, just like I was using to put the glue on, and I'm going to take just a little bit of color and try to put it exactly where I want it. Okay, I feel like that looks really bomb. Obviously I made one mistake, so I'm going to try to cover it with glitter, but If not, that's okay. So let's just finish up the skirt and then we can be done for today. Okay, I literally just put a dollop of glue and glitter. You can still see that it's kind of blue, but I don't think it's so bad. So we're gonna leave this till the morning. All right, that is the last thing that we are doing this evening. I honestly feel like it's looking really good. Obviously, the dyeing was a lot of work, and I started at like 5 o'clock. So annoying, but we made it to this point, so I'm just gonna let that one thing soak for another 30 minutes, but I'm gonna start cleaning everything up. I'm excited, so I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Welcome to the morning. Wow, this is not my look. I'm being separated like this. I have all this makeup on because I had to do Sarah Lynn this morning because I spent all of yesterday working on Corset. But let's go check on our fabric to see how it turned out. Wow, I think it looks so pretty. So this one is like the underskirt and it goes from the light blue to the dark blue. This is the veil here, which I actually added a little bit more blue with the spray blue I had last night because I put this out here and I was like, I think it needs a little extra something. And then this is the long piece to go on top of this. So yeah, it all looks really good. So let's bring this inside and then we're gonna basically put together the costume at this point and do the makeup. And here is our corset and our little gloves. Okay, time for a veil. We have a blue headband to match the wig. We got my veil dyed fabric and some beautiful flowers for the top of it. Let's do this real quick. So I want to add some ribs to the side of the corset. So I have this hand that my mom sent me, and I'm just gonna try to like chop up the fingers a little bit in order to use a couple of these pieces to be the ribs. Boom! Now we have 3 little ribs. Perfect. And they're a bit bendable, so we can form them a bit more. So let's paint that spot on the corset black so that these will blend in easier. Okay, so we have our spot that the ribs are gonna go on top of. So this I'm gonna hot glue onto it, but basically the paint needs to dry first. It shouldn't take too long, so I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start painting my body all corpse bridey. Arm-wise, I have a couple of options for a skeleton arm, so I did buy these like Jack Skellington gloves that are supposed to make it look like you have a bone hand. I don't know. I do also have a bone hand that I could try to like hot glue on top of a black glove. I'm not entirely sure. I think we'll just figure it out, but it's gonna take me a while to paint myself, so I'm just gonna start painting now. And the finishing touch here is just to spray these flowers with that clothing blue spray that I have, and it actually turned out really good, I think. So I have a perfect little corpse bride bouquet.
And I know her heart is beating, and I know that I am dead. Yet the pain here that I feel, try and tell me it's not real. And it seems that I still have a deal to share.
I'm trying very hard to sit in this, and this is definitely not a sit-down kind of costume, ladies. Sorry, long-line corsets. Who designed these things? I don't know. This is the video. We made it. We made Corpse Bride. I am pretty excited about it. Like, I think it turned out good. It's definitely not perfect. Like, I would love to one day become a very good seamstress, which I'm still working on, and make the entirety of this costume. But I did make the skirt, so that's a big step for me. I think that's my first official skirt I ever made. Obviously dip dyeing is like one of my favorite things to do. I have to say the spray that I bought like was so helpful, especially like the pieces that didn't really get it. I was able to add things to it. But yeah, this was really fun. I just liked kind of figuring out how to do it. I would love to do this again in a couple of years and kind of see how far I've grown. I think that would be really cool. But even especially the makeup, like I am not a makeup artist. I am not. You know, I'm just a cosplayer. I do okay for myself with makeup. I'm not the best. I don't wear it like every day like I used to, be super obsessed with it. But even the makeup, I feel like I did a good job, even though I didn't have the contacts, which I realized too late to order them, unfortunately. They don't sell colored contacts at stores. You like have to order them online or go to your eye doctor. And a lot of the times the eye doctor won't have like special Halloween contacts. So, oh, I feel like a bride. I do feel like I nailed this one. I'm pretty happy with the final result. The makeup really brought it together. I was a little bit nervous. There's also like so much glitter all over my floor. It's freaking insane. It's probably the messiest thing I've ever done. Use Mod Podge, not regular glue. Normally I use Mod Podge. You would not have glitter flying off. Please use Mod Podge if you attempt this. Don't be like me, a fool. Well, that is all for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Instagram at Kaz the Queen of Glitter, on TikTok at the Queen of Glitter, and also you can subscribe right here on YouTube at the Queen of Glitter. But I'll see you in my next video. Until then, stay spooky. Bye-bye. I feel like I need to make more TikToks while I'm dressed like this, but I just don't know.